Welcome to another edition of Cross Culture with Bola. You're welcome to my channel. Thank you for supporting me all this while. Thank you for your likes. Thank you so much for everything that you have done to spread the word about what we're doing on this show. Today, I'm having a very interesting conversation with my daughter, Boma. I'm going to be okay and it's going to be fine. But it's an interesting conversation on our cross-cultural relationship. As you will find out in a bit, Boma does not pull punches at all. So, I present my conversation with Boma to you, hot, spice, and smoking. Enjoy it. Hello, welcome back to my show. This is Cross Culture with Bola. And on my show today, I'm having a very important guest. Who better to talk to than my daughter, Boma?
Hi.
Boma, you're welcome to this show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to have an interesting conversation today.
I'm excited.
And deliberately, I must say this, I didn't prepare Boma for this. I didn't tell her what questions I was going to ask because I don't want her to have a ready-made answers. I want it to be spontaneous. So, welcome.
Thanks.
Boma and I have been in a relationship for the last 15 years.
Don't reveal my age.
Oh gosh. Okay. For a while. We've had this, we've had a relationship for a while. And she's coming on this show today to talk about what her experience has been growing up with us, with me and her dad. And I'm actually concerned about what Boma is going to say, because she doesn't pull punches, but hopefully we're going to have a good time. So, Boma, welcome to my show.
Thanks.
So talk to me. This show is about cross-culture. What has it been growing up in a Yoruba Calabari home?
It's been rough. It has. It's been very rough. Very, very trying. Very trying.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
Boma.
Yeah, because it's like, it's Yoruba, it's Calabari, but it's also overall Nigerian. And then you have to dabble in the American that we're living inside as well.
Yeah.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot. Yeah.
What does that mean, though? It's been fun, a lot positively, right?
Oh
gosh.
Yeah, positives.
Okay, tell us some about the positive experiences you've had in this exciting cross-cultural family.
Okay, positive experiences.
You said it's been positive, right?
There have been positive times, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you paid my school fees. Positive. No, but seriously, a lot of aspects of, being raised in a Nigerian household are very positive. There's, of course, the discipline that's instilled in you helps you in different places, whether it's work. I noticed that I have a better work ethic than a lot of my colleagues. So the discipline factor is definitely huge. Been very, very helpful in school and my job and all of those things. I think that's one of the really, really positive things that I've gained, for sure.
Okay. A few negatives.
I'm trying to think, what is the one thing that I'm just like, I think for me it'd be communication. Yes, communication is very rough, and I think for, growing up in a Nigerian household, there's just not a lot of talking about, okay, this is the way things are, or just generally talking about it, specifically emotions. Those things don't come up often. It's like, what do you have to be emotional about? You live here for free. Like, what's the thing?
But do you pay rent?
I mean, not right now, but eventually I will.
Okay.
But it's just that thing of I'm still a human being with thoughts and emotions, regardless of whether I pay rent. So I needed more guidance on how to handle my own emotions that, just kind of wasn't received a lot.
Oh. Okay, I mean, I don't get that, and that's part of the issues that we have. I actually remember when you were in maybe third grade or so, and I said something to you, and you said I was hurting your emotions. And what was my response?
No. I said you were hurting my feelings.
But your feelings, I'm sorry.
And you said, who permitted you to have feelings?
I mean, yeah, though.
And how? How is somebody with that mindset supposed to now learn later in life how to communicate their feelings if I have to be permitted to have my own feelings?
I don't get it though, frankly, and it's a problem. I never in my wildest dream could look my mother in the face and say she's hurting my feelings. What feelings?
Understood. And I think that's interesting though, because I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, you really did grow up in a time where children were to be seen but not heard. And that's definitely different from the time that I grew up in. We're supposed to be seen, we're supposed to be heard, we're supposed to talk that we have our own agency, our own experiences, our own emotions outside of our parents. I think in your generation, it's a lot, you don't exist outside of that parental kind of bond. That's
no, see, the problem I have with you, Boma, is this.
Why do you have to
I brought you up. No, Boma, you grew up in this Nigerian home.
This is true.
And you brought in this American culture.
Right.
And you just expect me to throw away 30. I had you when I was how old? 34? Yeah. And then you expect me to just drop all that and jump on this American bandwagon, and you think it's going to work that way? No.
I actually don't expect that at all, and especially at the age that I'm at now. But one of the things that I actually heard recently, you know, I went to a training with the head of RCCG NA Youth, and she was talking a lot about relationships that parents have with their children, especially with Nigerian culture. And one of the things that she mentioned was that it's kind of backwards to American culture, but as children, we have to train our parents on how to treat us by the way we treat them.
Oh, okay. I can do that.
One of the examples she gave was that even though your parents are yelling at you and they shouldn't be, that's not the way you should talk to anybody, let alone your children. They're yelling at you. What you do is don't yell back at them. And then when they're done yelling, you know, you're having a conversation, times calm down a little bit. That's when you can talk about how you want to be spoken to.
I have a problem with you saying I'm yelling at you. That's rude in itself.
See?
How dare you use that word yell on your parents? You see what I'm saying?
It's just a communication thing, you know?
Well, no. See, the communication rule has to be what rule I set. For instance, we had a mini argument coming out this evening. You came out dressed like this. And I looked at Boma and I was like, Boma, and then you went, you always have something to say about my dressing. What is it? And I didn't say anything. Okay, let them see what you're wearing in the camera. Can you please get up and let them see?
They can see.
No, they can't see. Get up. Can you see? Can you see what Boma is wearing? You can see that. So how am I supposed to respond to my child dressed in rags?
See, and that's kind of the thing. Like, I would say no parent should refer to what their child is wearing as rags. Like, that is just not the language that you should use with anybody, let alone your child.
Oh my gosh.
Like, maybe don't refer to people's clothes as rags. But if there's an issue, you feel like there's an issue with the way I'm dressed, it's simple as, hey, you know, we're filming this thing. Is there any way that you could change and wear something else? Because realistically, we don't live that far away. I could have just gone and put on something else. But when I asked you about it, you didn't say anything. Because, like you mentioned.
I didn't. Because I was looking at you like, Boma, let's face it. You know that I wouldn't want this, right? You did.
Cross-cultural, you know.
So in your culture, this is fine.
This is beautiful.
And who permitted you to have this culture? You grew up with me. I'm your mother. Why jettison my culture for this strange one? Do you think that's fair?
No.
Okay, good.
Because as I mentioned, I am my own person with my own agency. Your culture is not my culture. I do have my own culture.
Oh my God.
The cultivation of culture doesn't just come from what I picked up from you. I do have, you know, things that I value, beliefs, values that, you know, are just mine that I did not get from you. Okay. I'm not an extension of you.
Okay.
It's me and it's you, and there's a binding connector there, but we are not the same. So you just have to, you know, look at it from that perspective.
Okay, so why would you think that I should jettison what I have held on to for so many years, that have taken me this far, and just accept what you bring in? I mean, that's just not fair.
I agree that it's not fair, but I also think that with the changing times, you have to be open to more of the ideas that I have. So it's just not going to work for you to be stuck in, you know, 30, 40 years ago when, God. You know, I'll release my age. I'm 21. Okay, she's known me for quite a while, seen kind of the cultivation of my personality. And it really does come from that acceptance that I am my own person, first off. And then you can move into, okay, how do I accept this whole person that is not an extension of me?
But why would you ask me to accept what I don't like?
That's a good question. That is a really good question.
Because you haven't accepted what you don't like in my culture, though. What you don't like in my culture is just jettisoned, and you're like, okay, I mean, I don't like this, I'm not going to do it. So why are you setting a standard for me that you're not setting for yourself?
So like for instance, let's take the way I'm dressed, since we did discuss that.
Okay.
So in a situation where one of us has to, I don't even want to use the word win, but one viewpoint has to take control in this thing, right?
Yes.
But it's my body. So what I put on my body is ultimately going to be my decision. So I think there are certain things that, of course, you can have a conversation about that are less important than others. Again, had you just said, hey, this is an episode that I'm doing, can you please change? Probably would have just changed, since I know. But when it comes to my body and things that at the end of the day really they're not, I guess, the biggest deals in the world. Like, it really, in my opinion, of course, doesn't exactly matter that, okay, I put on something that, you know, you're particularly fond of. But, yeah.
Okay, see, I don't want to win this argument, so I'm just going to drop that for a minute. But let's talk about that time when you got to college. You know, when I was growing up, you told your parents what your major was going to be in college, and you stuck with it. Sunshine or rain. Okay. You got into college. The first thing you did was to join the ROTC.
Right.
The next thing you did, you know, sometime after, was to change your major.
So let's discuss, because we got to get into the facts, right?
Okay.
The facts of the matter.
Okay.
I came into Auburn as a political science major. I graduated a political science major. Now, the thing was, I was on a pre-med track, and I changed to a pre-law track. Never changed my major, just decided that I wanted to go a different route in professional school. Right? So that was it for me. Didn't change my major, just decided I wanted to go a different route in professional school. I stuck with poli-sci the whole way through.
The problem I have with that, we still have a cross-cultural issue here.
Okay.
As far as I was concerned, you went into college to study medicine. Political science was just, okay, she needs a bachelor's before going to med school. So in my own mind, as I sit here today, Boma went into college to study medicine, to do pre-med, and she came out with a poli-sci degree.
Well, I mean, in my own mind, I would have come out with a poli-sci degree anyway. Because that's what I went in for.
How about the ROTC stuff? Do you know what it means to an African parent that we sent you to college and you went to join the army? Army. Do you know up till today your grandmother still has sleepless nights over Boma don't go join army? How on I go let Boma join army? What do you think I'm telling her?
Well, I have spoken to my grandma and reassured her of my intentions. So she's fine. She knows I'm studying law. She knows I'm going to be a lawyer. So we're cool.
But she thinks you're going to go to battle to, you know, as whatever.
We have reassured her many times that I'm going to study law. So we're good.
The problem I have with that is you talked about communication a few minutes ago. I am positive that you did not communicate with my mother-in-law. Because a lot of the times when she has these conversations with you, she's very confused about what you say. She's just excited to hear your voice, and she just gets carried away by all that. And then she comes back to say, you know, when Boma was talking, I didn't really hear half what she said, but I was just smiling and singing.
And that's wonderful. And I think that's another place where communication comes in, especially in the family dynamic.
Yes.
So if I said something to her that she doesn't understand, and you feel like there's a way that you can speak to her that she does understand, it really is up to you to talk to her and relay that to her if I'm not doing a good enough job of it, or just talk to me about how I could communicate that better to her.
I don't think it has to do with it. I think it has to do with you understanding how she thinks. You are her granddaughter. You can't do anything wrong. So she's just excited to speak with you and stuff like that. But when she's talking to me, it's like, what did you guys do? Boma in the military?
You should have done better. She's right.
She's right about what?
You should have done better.
Done better how? We weren't even a part of the decision making. And see, we supported that decision because, of course, we love you, because we know, okay, this is what you want to do and all that.
My genes.
But no, the genes, no, I'm not.
If it's love, support that.
No. There are some things you support. There are some things you ignore. There are some things, whatever. Let me talk about another issue that we've had with you. What is this thing about you wanting to be consulted on issues? You're constantly saying, you guys don't tell me anything. I don't know what's going on. What's that? Do we actually owe you to, where is that coming from?
So for me, and again, it comes with me being 21 years old. I am a quasi-adult. And again, real agency, real control, right, over myself and my well-being. So in that vein, you would think that in a family union, if there is something particularly important going on, that you would want to relay that to the rest of the family. But for some reason, that's just not the case in our family. Even if it's, somebody is miles away. Like, for example, when you went to, I believe, Chicago for a funeral, you're getting on a plane in the middle of a pandemic. I had no idea. Yeah. Right? So it's little things like that I'm like, okay, I would have loved to know this beforehand. So, maybe I could have prayed, but you were already there. If you had caught COVID on that flight, I didn't even pray about it. So there's nothing at all that could have been done.
I think that's a very convenient thing to say, though, because I'm asking myself how many times, you're couching it in spiritualese because you think that's going to, yeah. So now that you're talking about praying, how does our Christian belief impacted your life? Of course, most immigrants are religious in some form or the other. We are Christians. You've been to every Sunday service, every Deacon Day prayer meeting. Why are you shaking your
visual, head? The pray until something happens. Continue.
So talk to me about that. What does that mean to you? How have you dealt with that over the years?
How have I dealt with it? I don't think it's really been something that I've dealt with per se. Definitely did, because like you said, you're a pastor's wife, so that makes me a pastor's child. So it's a very different experience in church and religion for pastors' children than has anything to do with being an immigrant, right? Yeah. But the immigrant experience coupled with all of that, it just made things, I guess, a bit blurry, because you want to, I guess, factor in all of the parts of your identity into your spirituality, but there's, this person saying this and that person saying that, especially in the church community when you're a pastor's child. So when so many people around you are not walking the walk and you're seeing them and there's supposed to be some sort of guidance for you, it's very, very difficult. But again, with the immigrant piece, Nigerians in church, it's like this. It's like this. Raised in church, always in church, all the time. But for me, I think being around people my own age that were on fire for Christ, really about, reading the Bible, spending time with God, was super important. And to be honest, I didn't get that at church. There weren't a ton of people my age to begin with. Most of them were college students. So I was hanging out with people that were significantly older than me throughout my childhood. So for me, where I got that was going to youth convention every summer. So I would go, every summer I went to youth convention, and I was really around that community. And that's what helped me really find my place in kind of the body in the church, was being around people my own age that were doing it. Because, being around the adults and the college kids, it's something, but it's different from when it's coming from people like you.
Okay. Another question I want to ask, really, that's speaking off of that. Was there a time in your life when you felt like you were missing out because your parents were pastors, or we were being obtuse with our Christian values and stuff like that?
I don't think your being obtuse had anything to do with Christianity. I think it had more to do with being Nigerian.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. It's a mother-daughter conversation. Like you must have seen from our conversation, we are work in progress. Boma is adulting, and I am not letting go either. So, we're going to be fine ultimately. I believe we are. That's just what it is. So have a good week. And until I come your way next week, God bless you.